Asha Shabbat. May peace, serenity, and prosperity be multiplied unto you all. Kalala Yahawah, Shema Mashak Yahweh, Shema Yahshua Yahweh, Alahaya Nabo, called the Mashpaka. I'm going to make this meditation quick and to the point. However the Spirit moves, we'll move right with it. Enjoying some serene time alone early this Shabbat. And blessing y'all with the view that I'm enjoying early this Shabbat. All my Houston natives that are tuned into this, you may already know where I'm at. So, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. So as y'all know, we have the Feast of Tabernacles coming up tomorrow. Yeah, we have the Feast of Tabernacles coming up tomorrow. And it commemorates when our ancestors were out and about in the wilderness for their 40-year journey as they were escaping the bondage of ancient Egypt. Now, as y'all know, within the Feast of Tabernacles, you have many brothers and sisters that take that week-long time off, those 7 days, camp in the wilderness and congregate, as it's instructed to do so in our Torah. But as I told you all before, if you don't have the means to do so because of our captivity here in Babylon, it's okay. As long as you're taking recognition and observing the day to the best of your ability, you should be good. So, Psalms 91, verse 1, dwelling in the secret place of the Most High and abiding in the shadow of YAHAWAH. So, as the Israelites were out and about in the wilderness, those 40 years, Moses, his siblings, his wives, and all his brethren, they all abided under the shadow of the Almighty as they survived those 40 years. Now, our ancestors that were stiff-necked, rebellious, and chose to do wickedly did not survive. Yahweh Alahayim cut them off. And see, we just had the Day of Atonement this past Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening. Okay? And many of us, we observe the day accordingly. And you all who diligently follow this ministry, the YAHAWAH that do so, you all got a spiritual experience from it, or acquired a spiritual advantage from the ancillary instructions that were given. Now, with all that being said, it doesn't take one to know, to look around and observe. It doesn't take much for one to know that Babylon is in very much troubling times right now. Babylon is crumbling from within. From within, Babylon is crumbling. You can just look at the news. You can observe the political climate, right? You can observe the foolishness and folly that the citizens are speaking as they express their wicked hearts. And you can tell judgment is coming. All right. And the Most High is the ultimate chess player. He's the ultimate chess player. He's playing chess, not checkers. Nobody has any time to play around in this truth. Okay? If you seek Yahweh diligently, if you seek him diligently, you have the faith in Yahweh Shai, you abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That's abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. And it's not hard to do so. It's not hard to do so at all. However, when one gets caught up in their own understandings and their own opinions and their own feelings, they can greatly be astray. They can be led off, misdirected, and following foolishness while thinking they're doing something righteous. Listen, there are many doctrines of devils out here. Even among the truth, you have doctrines of devils. You know, there's so many different winds of doctrines, even among these Israelites, these different Israelites. You have so many different Israelite sects that push this doctrine and that doctrine, going off their own understanding. You have that going on too. Okay, I'm gonna look at the chat here real quick. I don't know what's going on in the chat here. Chevelle Jones asks, how many fish do I plan to catch? Well, I appreciate your humor. However, this is a meditation of Psalms 91, verse 1. So the focus is on the spiritual downloads of this particular scripture. So there's no fishing being done right now. It's a Shabbat anyway. This is a day of rest. Fishing isn't permitted unless I was starving. Okay. Hey, listen, if y'all coming in the chat speaking gibberish, I'm not going to pay attention to it. Liz talking about, can I say hi to you? Okay. Y'all wilding in the chat. and I rebuke it by YAHAWAH. Anyways, following the instruction, the code that YAHAWAH has made simple for us to follow through faith in him and the obedience to the will of the Father, which are the commandments, that's abiding in the shadow of the Almighty. And you'll be a fool not to want to abide in the shadow of the Almighty. Like I said, there's a lot going on. All right, just earlier this year, well, not earlier this year, but earlier this week, my last prophesying at one of the Houston bayous. For those of y'all who are in knowledge of the situation out here, there's been several bodies found in those bayous all across Houston. So I was led by the Spirit to go out there and prophesy at that bayou. That's just here locally in the city of Houston. However, it is an example throughout, because you got a lot of judgment taking place right now in the world. Even as we speak right now, judgment is being taken somewhere. Khan, Chevelle, Jones, Khan. Yeah, Psalms 91 is a very soothing chapter. But do you know it in its entirety? Or are you just receiving it to receive comfort? That's the grand question you got to ask yourself. Because you have many people who read the Bible just to be comforted. But the scriptures isn't just about feeling good. The scriptures have conviction. The scriptures have prophecy. The scripture has foretelling. The scriptures have edification, exhortation, and not to mention conviction. You can read Psalms 91 and be convicted at the same time, especially if you're aware of your own follies, because it speaks of those being destroyed. It speaks of the wicked being destroyed in that same chapter of Psalms 91. So we got to look at it as a double-edged sword. Yes, it's comforting, but you got to be in order for it to work for you. And that's what this Day of Atonement was about. Examining yourself, self-examination, making sure we're in order with YAHAWAH Ba'ashem YAHWAH. Because the majority of this was not in order. Even those who believe they are in order aren't in order. However, we want to be sure that we are in the shadow of the Almighty during these times. We want him to be our strong tower, right? We want to have the defenses of the Alahayim working in our favor and not working against us. And it's easy to make Alahayim work against you. Just do what you want to do, right? Just do as you please. Or how one of those grand Satanists in the satanic religion of Satanism, Anton LaVey, as he advocated through the spirit of Hashatan, do as thou wilt. Yeah, if you want Alahayim to work against you, just do as thou wilt. Don't keep commandments. Don't have the faith of YAHAWAH. Twist up the scriptures to your own understanding. Anytime you get cut by the scriptures, right? Try to make salvation something that is a grab for everybody. When the scriptures say salvation's for Israel, yeah, make it all about that. twist it all up as the doctrines of the world has done so. And you can receive the judgment of the YAHAWAH. For those of you who follow the Instagram page, there was a post that was recently shared, right? And it showed this woman who was a participator of that Nicolaitan doctrine. Her and her missionaries went over to the state of Israel thinking that they're doing Yahawah's work. They went over to the state of Israel trying to teach to the people that occupy the land right now. And the lady was getting blatantly disrespected by the people over there. Blatantly being disrespected. She had children over there spitting her face. She had an old man walk up to her and slap her across her face once she tried to offer the name of quote unquote Yeshua to him. And she also had a young man over there go across her head with his backpack. Yeah, he took off his backpack and knocked her upside her head from behind as she was calling out to the people over there. Yeah, if you're in any of that type of folly, you're going to be judged because none of that is scriptural. Okay, if you can't take the scriptures as is and you got to water them down and create your own falsified doctrine out of them and not take them as is, because the scriptures break down themselves. There's context behind every scripture. The scriptures break down themselves. They provide their own definitions. You just got to be skilled and know how to find the answers within the scriptures, because they have scriptures that answer other scriptures. It's precept by precept, line upon line. Here a little and there a little. All right? So, however, when you're taking the book as is, you accept the will of Yahawah, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that is expressed to the book in its entirety as it is, and its rawness. You are indeed abiding in the shadow of the Almighty. However, if you want to take it in your own understanding, you want to follow doctrines of men to make it sound good for you, you're convicted about certain ills of character that you may have, certain follies that you may participate in. You're convicted by any of that, and you want the scriptures to tell you how you think they should be. Well, hey, you're not abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. All right? You run into different people who profess in this word because they appeal to your feelings and not to the truth. You may be listening to this ministry and you get cut so often that you go find somebody else to listen to because they appeal to your feelings. Hey, you're not abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. It's as simple as that. You got a lot of that too. Just because they're Israelites, that don't mean they know what they're talking about. There's plenty of Israelites that don't know what they're talking about. Plenty of Israelites that are fooled under falsified doctrines and that are under the veil of Hashatan. You got a lot of that going on. But if you're listening to a teacher, a prophet of this word, right? A prophet of the word of Yahawah, and you're facing conviction, not only edification, but conviction, that's where you need to be. You need to be listening to that brother. You should be listening to that brother. You should be listening to whoever is convicting you. Because without conviction, there's no change. You're going to continue to stay in your folly if you're not cut and not corrected. You're going to stay in folly, and therefore you're not going to be under the shadow of the Almighty, and you won't be dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. That's as simple as that is. It can't get any more simple than that in definition, right? It can't. You know, I know some of y'all probably got cut listening to that right now. Oh, well, you know, if you diligently have been following this ministry, you know that your feelings aren't spared here. The truth of the word is going to be given to you as is, whether you like it or not. And if you can accept that, and you can diligently and wholeheartedly hold on to the truth of that, you might as well or may as well be abiding in the shadow of the Almighty, in the secret place of the Most High. Just like that. Now, see, this live been going on for 21 minutes already. I didn't even intend to be that long. I was trying to make this 10 to 15. But the Spirit has already brought it to my awareness. So I will go ahead and end it here. Again, this is Psalms 91 verse 1 that this entire meditation was about. Led through the Spirit. So take that, note it, and ask YAHAWAH to reveal to you what you need to do in order to truly possess the understanding from this one scripture. Asha Shabbat. May peace, serenity, and prosperity be multiplied unto you all. Shalom.